Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed with DrPND, where we help you reclaim your health with tips, tools, and resources to live your most optimal and vibrant life. Here's your host, DrPND.
Hello, welcome to Your Health Reclaimed. This is your host, DrPND. And today we're going to have a short podcast, and I would like to address the association between mood, health, and our gut microbiome. So it's a very common question that we get. There seems to be quite a bit of confusion. And I'd like to be able to kind of give you an idea of what this really means and how is that related. And, what I see in my practice when it comes to the relationship and association between our moods and our, gastrointestinal health, and particularly our gut microbiome. So the question is, the gut health and the gut-brain health connection ultimately leading to, our moods, and, whether, what comes first, whether it's the chicken or the egg scenario, it's both. In a nutshell, it's both. One can influence the other. Psychologically, we can cause dysbiosis and certain, GI issues when the stress gets severe and chronic. And also when we have a GI damage, that can also cause gastrointestinal issues, can cause, mood changes to a point. Whether gastrointestinal damage that is drastically severe can cause major depressive mood disorder, requires, institutionalizing a person. I don't really know. That's I don't do functional psychiatry to that deep level, but nonetheless, again, both can affect one the other, and we can get caught in the vicious cycle that things get worse from both ends because based on our lifestyles and the certain chronic situations that we find ourselves under. But basically, the connection between the gut microbiome, mood health, and brain function is referred as the gut-brain axis. Okay, this is a bidirectional signaling pathway between the central and the enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system is housed in the gut, where the gut microbiome communicates with the brain, impacting certain aspects of mood and brain health. So the gut-brain axis is thought to influence cognitive function and mood through different mechanisms related to the immune system, inflammation modulation, and also cellular metabolism. This is just a nutshell. Obviously, things get very complex very quick. There's a lot of stuff that we still don't understand. And scientists are discovering more and more. But we're talking about bottom line stuff here. So yes, it does affect that. There's a lot of recent research and reviews. One of them being Liu and colleagues that explore the potential link between mood health and the microbial composition actually of the gut. I do a lot of GI functional stool tests in my practice, and I definitely can attest to that I easily see disruption patterns of the commensal bacteria and different stressors, including mood disorders in people that I work with, which a lot of people have, light, moderate to moderate severe depression and anxiety, a lot of anxiety with sometimes with panic disorder or panic attacks, which get really severe. I definitely see that. I can definitely vouch for that. From a professional standpoint, I can see that. From a personal standpoint, when I went through my healing journey almost 20 years ago, I definitely can vouch for that as well, because I did have GI damage. Mine was not caused from stress and any kind of trauma from childhood or adulthood, but it was just a faulty lifestyle of not sleeping well, too much work, too much stress, too much training, eating horribly. Just because I didn't eat or drink or do drugs or eat ultra processed foods like potato chips and fast food and stuff like that, didn't mean I ate healthy. I did. It was better than the worst, but still was far off from good, let alone optimal. And I did cause a GI dysregulation and issues, and therefore that definitely affected my mood. So yes, this can cause issues, and if you have a compromised gut function or microbiome, it'll be a matter of time until you will also have some form and some intensity of mood problems. Okay, so specific microbial species in the gut as of now have definitely been associated with mood health. Some species in the what is called the bacterial the family, including it's hard to pronounce. There's the fragilis, there is the uniformis, and there's the beta iatomicron, which is chockful to pronounce. These have directly been linked to potentially increased risk of depressive-like mood changes. So remember, the gut microbiome is massive. There's like 100 some trillion microorganisms there. And in a healthy gut, they do a lot. So not just they digest and assimilate and metabolize the nutrients that we ingest. They produce different short chain fatty acids, different chemicals, neurotransmitters. That's why 80% or so of serotonin is believed to be produced in the gut, depending who what the research is, but anywhere from 70 to 80% plus of our immune system is housed in the gut and directly and indirectly modulated by these bacteria. It gets very complex. The human gut microbiome project is still going strong. I think it's going on 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure exactly, but they're finding out more and more and more stuff. Ultimately, it's a different universe down there. Literally, it's a different universe. And to go into specifics, I think is a severe waste of time. But to know the bottom line scenario and how that is applicable to your health and what can be done, I think is definitely worth mentioning. Obviously, if you're a geek and you like to dissect human molecular and cellular biology and biochemistry, knock yourself out. You can go down the study rabbit holes, and it's a lot of information. But for most of us, we just want to like to know applicable bottom line scenario and how we can implement that into our lives. Just know that what I'm about to discuss is very true, and you have a lot of control, a lot more control than people think when it comes to mood. So, for instance, there's also both animal and human clinical studies that have investigated the potential link between microbial dysbiosis and changes in mood health. There's a 2023 study that was performed actually with fecal transplants from individuals with major depressive disorders to healthy murine populations. And you see a direct indication that depressive-like symptoms within weeks and months were induced in the previously healthy animals. Again, suggesting that microbial dysbiosis in the gut will impact or can impact overall mood balance. You guys have perhaps heard of actual human clinical fecal transplants from a healthy to a unhealthy human. Obviously, from an unhealthy to unhealthy, nobody does that. In a human, at least not yet, but a healthy fecal transplant taken from a healthy subject, human being, into somebody struggling with severe dysbiosis and or depressive mood other issues has been done numerous times by many people. So with actually great success and for a good reason, because when you transplant those billions and billions of microbes that play such a major role in dysbiosis. On the prevention of treatment of dysbiosis, you'll be able to see that, take effect and really impacts overall, mood balance for the better. So there is a lot of, studies like that. There's also recent research suggested that, strongly correlated the feedback loop, what's called a feedback loop, which is between the gut dysbiosis and depression-like changes. So you have a population study from 2021 that linked the increased presence of certain commensal species in the Bacteroides genus with improved anxiety and depression scores. Nothing here has ever been an ultimate end-all be-all treatment and addressable, but you see a massive improvement, or at the very least, some small but noticeable improvement. So, you have certain microbial metabolites which have also influenced the gut-brain axis. For instance, I see this quite a bit in the special stool testing that I do. When you have reduced levels of short-chain fatty acids and changes in the bile acid metabolism, you'll see, direct observation in individuals with actually moderate to major mood disorders and anxiety. In addition, like the administration of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate has also been shown to help support improvement in depressive-like symptoms, intestinal permeability, and hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis reactivity, or HPA axis. And you always don't have a HP. I'll go as far as say HPTA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid adrenal axis, when you have gut problems and chronic stress and other mood issues that follow with that. When it comes to the intestinal permeability, in my practice, I use short-chain fatty acids very heavily to be able to address the leaky gut, aka intestinal permeability, among many other digestive issues. But again, this goes to show, just confirms the fact that when you have healthy gut, you are going to have a lot better mood by default. So there also studies have discussed the potential lifestyle interventions that can influence gut microbiome composition. Remember, these are just studies that are done, but they very, very much confirm what we see as practitioners in our practices. And things that have been done for a very long time before even science actually had any kind of interest in the gut microbiome. So, for instance, dietary intervention is a must. When you're addressing gastrointestinal health, metabolic health, you're not fixing anything with supplements alone. The diet is going to be staple. Food is medicine, literally. Now they have clinical proof, that Mediterranean-like diets. By the way, Mediterranean diet does not include plant-based food only and no meat or maybe a little bit of fish. That's very false. Ultimately, Mediterranean diet is one, lack of all processed foods. And number two, it's just a very well-balanced diet with a lot of healthy fruits, vegetables, healthy starches, and healthy high-quality meat and seafood. Okay, that's what it boils down to. So anybody sitting here telling the Mediterranean diet doesn't have red meat, they're lying to you. Okay, because there's no such thing. You go to the Mediterranean region, you're going to see a very heavy consumption of red meat. So that's actually a lie and a fallacy, and a lot of people fall into that because based on who and how that has been promoted. Remember, guys, when it comes to food, it is half the battle is eliminating processed food. Okay. Any and all, whether it's ultra processed, it doesn't matter, you have to eliminate it. Second, stick to high quality, nutrient dense, organic whole food. Okay. And third, respect your bio individuality. What is it that you thrive on? Just because somebody thrives on seafood, okay, doesn't mean you will. Just because somebody, thrives on poultry more or a little bit less meat, more vegetables, doesn't mean you will. Okay, you have to respect your bio individuality, and you have to know what you're looking for and how to find that. And number four, test for food sensitivities. I don't care how healthy your diet is. If you are sensitive to a particular food, you are going to have problems. Okay, so it's really, really simple. You have to learn how to think for yourselves and really extract, proper information that is viable. And again, if you have a problem with that, contact somebody who knows what they're doing, who actually works with people in clinic. Because there's so much deception out there, it's not even funny. It gets very, very aggravating, honestly. So to continue here, I digressed. I apologize for that. But there's a lot of research out there. When it comes to, for example, probiotics, okay, research has shown over and over that certain probiotics massively help support the gut-brain axis. You have clinical studies that have demonstrated over and over the decreased plasma level, for example, of interferon Y, which is a tumor necrosis factor, alpha, and cortisol, along with improvements in certain parameters related to memory and cognition, have been observed in the presence of a healthy L. plantarum species probiotic, which that's something that, again, I test for among many other ones. That's why you might have seen the L. plantarum advertised, or you might have seen a probiotic or a particular probiotic with this strain alone. There is a reason for that, because these have been shown to have a direct association with these improvement parameters. Now, probiotics work. What probiotics you have to take? The best thing to do is test. See what is it that you're lacking, what is it your body needs, what is the dysbiosis, is there any pathogenicity? That's why some people, probiotics don't work. That's why some people take probiotics and they actually have increased digestive issues. Because if you're taking a probiotic that is adding something that is already dysregulated on a very high level, but you're not replacing what needs to be replaced, it's lacking, you're making things worse. Or if you're addressing none of that, and obviously, it's either too high or too low, you're just putting stuff that is already balanced, you're wasting your time and money. So you can't guess, you have to test. But man, probiotics, massive difference. Eating probiotic-rich foods. If somebody's generally healthy or they cannot afford high-quality probiotics with testing, the best thing to do is eat wholesome, natural, organic, probiotic-rich foods like sauerkrauts and, beet kvass, obviously, yogurts if you're not sensitive to dairy, in different probiotic-rich foods, as long as, again, you're not sensitive to those foods, or you don't have indigenous histamine intolerance, which, unfortunately, some probiotic foods are very high, and then there will be a problem if you're healthy, but some people are sensitive to histamine, and that can cause a problem. So as you can see, I'm trying to get the message across that it's not as simple as people make it out to be. You read a lot of information, everybody's an expert, and now, again, especially nowadays with artificial intelligence, everybody's literally an expert. And all they're doing is just parroting out like a parrot things that have been said that are generally true, but are they true for you? So are probiotics good? Absolutely. Nobody's going to deny probiotics are bad. Okay. This is a black and white scenario. It's like someone says, is cocaine good? No, it's not. It's bad all across the board. Okay. But when it comes to the good aspect, the probiotics, they are good. That is correct. But what probiotics are good for you, and what dose, and what frequency, and what sequence, and what duration, all those things make a difference. Okay. So, I'm really, in this podcast, I'm really trying to drill and get a message across that it's not as simple as people believe, and you have to have the patience, you have to have the knowledge, discernment, and the know-how to be able to treat problems and to be able to really reach optimal health. It's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. It's not as simple, people, as everybody makes it out to be. Eat a special food or take a supplement and you're good to go. It does not work like that. So anyway, I regressed again. I apologize for that. For instance, another thing is that, we see a lot of systemic reviews and meta-analysis of clinical trials that are actually related to probiotics and mood health that further, are exploring the gut-brain connection. In a general sense, compared to placebo, the treatment groups analyzed who received probiotics across all fronts experienced by far fewer depression and anxiety symptoms. Anxiety symptoms were the first one to actually go down, and were the most noticeable in the treatment arms, that included the probiotics. So the message is ultimately that there's a lot of connection, very strong connection from clinical studies and observations for, make the case about the, association between our mood health and our gut microbiome and just general gastrointestinal health. From a clinical standpoint, from a practice standpoint, I see this all the time. And it's very true. it really does make a difference. That's why you guys hear all the time people talking about gut health in some form or another, because it is. Hippocrates has said it over 2,000 years ago that all disease begins in the colon, in the gut. Ultimately, to one or another, that is absolutely true. When it comes to chronic disease, you'll almost always never see somebody who has long-standing chronic disease of some kind, and they have a perfectly healthy digestion. I never seen it. I never know anybody of my colleagues that has ever seen it, and I highly doubt anybody ever has or ever will, because you can't. The gastrointestinal system is so vital for health. It's how vegetarian is definitely the most important aspect, and everything directly or indirectly will stem from there. Okay, people have macular degeneration. You talk to a functional, ophthalmologist who has practiced functional medicine. They're gonna start with the gut. Whatever the issue is, whether it's malnutrition of some kind, malabsorption, maldigestion, you're gonna see deficiencies occur. You're gonna see chronic inflammation. It all starts from there. So I just want to. I know this is nothing new. You guys have heard. I understand that, but this is why it's so important to really keep repeating it, because people have the tendency to move on to things. Whatever the latest and the greatest thing is, they move on to that. Gut health was not even talked about 15 years ago. Around 2010, 11, things started to come up very fast, very quickly regarding gut health, and everything exploded. There were millions of books read, millions of armchair experts talked about it. Conventional media talked about it, you name it. And if you guys even remember, 5-10 years ago, even the amount of probiotics that were being pushed on TV, even mainstream television, it's insane. And now things have kind of, cycled out, and the attention is elsewhere, give or take. But the truth will always stand that if you don't address gut health, you're not going to be addressing anything else. We're talking about chronic issue. We're not talking about acute conditions of trauma. So that's why it's so important. When it comes to mood, it's very important to also understand the fact that we live in a high pressure environment, high stress environment. As a culture, in our Western culture, that's the way we are. We just live like that. And you can do a lot to really mitigate depression and anxiety and just general malaise and mood issues by really addressing your gut. That's something that is very important. And the faster, the better you do it, the better the outcome is going to be, hands down. So today, this is it. It was a short one, but I just wanted to get this message across that really look into optimizing gut health. If you're confused, if nothing's working, reach out to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Reach out to us. This is what we do. Go to DrPND.com. We offer free consultations. Reach out to us. Let us help you. There's so much you can do that it's not even funny. There's a lot of freedom on the other side. But steps have to be taken. Energy has to be expended. And unfortunately, money has to be spent. The deeper the issue with the gastrointestinal system, the longer it's going to take, to fix. But it can be fixed. It can be done. And when it comes to that, since we're talking about mood, you'll definitely see a difference. And if your mood problems are strictly coming from digestive issues, then you'll be able to completely reverse those and improve those at full capacity. But even if they're not, you'll be able to see a drastic improvement in that. So this is it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Until next time.
Thank you for your valuable time and for listening to the Your Health Reclaimed podcast with DrPND. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with a person you know it can help. If we can help you in any way, or you would like to connect with DrPND, please visit DrPND.com. That's DrPND.com.